Failures. Look, I will say one of the great lessons I've learned is if you don't try something, and if you don't fail enough, then you'll never succeed, because that means you're just not trying. So failure is a part of anybody's career and anybody's success. And the great managers are the ones that encourage their people to try and fail. Now, don't fail at the same thing twice. That's not a good thing. But trying for something and failing, that's not a bad thing at all. So, don't look at it as a negative. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. For me, I think do I have any regrets in terms of how I've conducted my career? I don't think so. I mean, I'm fairly happy with the way my career turned out. I would say that my only regret in terms of what I've done in my career is that when I was an undergrad at UCLA, I had no intention of going to graduate school. I didn't really take it very seriously. And in my experience since in business, I really wish I had a business degree, or I had some training in economics and finance and accounting, and I was really kind of not keeping my eye on the ball in college on that, and I've since had to learn by doing it over the last 20 years or so, and working at my company, which up until now and probably for at least the next year or so is owned by GE, which is a very financially rigorous company. I feel like I've gotten my MBA, but in the School of Hard Knocks. So I guess I should have studied more in college.
Moving on to some specific issues at NBC. One of the biggest changes to NBC this year was the formulation of the Jay Leno Show every weeknight at 10 p.m. Could you talk about this underlying strategy?
Sure, it's all we've done is talk about this. When I'm asked a question like that, or when any of our executives is asked a question like that, one of the first things that we try to point out is that this was a unique situation in time, with a unique individual and a unique set of circumstances. That a lot of the press that people have read, or maybe you haven't, has made a big deal out of how NBC is trying to change the face of television with the Jay Leno Show, and how it's this sea change in network television. And it was a radical programming move, doing a unscripted show in prime time 5 nights a week. Broadcast network hasn't done that in years. It's not that it's never been done, but it hasn't been done in a very, very long time, especially in the 10 o'clock hour, especially at NBC, which is generally considered the first broadcast network and kind of a leader among networks. And so it was a very controversial move. We did it because we had a number of unique circumstances. We had Jay Leno, who we didn't want to lose. We had made a decision to put Conan O'Brien in the Tonight Show at 11:30, and we were committed to that decision. That we knew was going to happen in the middle of this year. We knew that we'd lose Jay at the end of this year if we did find another home for him on NBC. We found ourselves in a situation, ratings-wise, where we were in 4th place. The nature of the television business, like a lot of businesses, or sports, it's cyclical. And we were in a very prolonged down cycle in our ratings. We were the 4th place broadcast network. We were having a hard time competing with the other broadcast networks with scripted programming at 10 o'clock. And we found an opportunity to provide some counter-programming. Comedy, topical, DVR, TiVo-proof type programming, 5 nights a week, with a guy who America loves and America was going to miss. We didn't want him to go to another network and compete with us in late night. And he was open to doing it. So we took the lead with Jay. And 3 months in, notwithstanding all the bad press that it seems to be getting, it's doing exactly as we've projected it to do. The show is finding itself. These things take a while. And the show is finding itself. Jay's getting more comfortable in it every night. And so it's it's a process, but boy, we got a lot of press about this.
Could you talk about the underlying economic strategy to?
Yeah, again, a little bit too much focus was paid to the economics. I mean, people were looking, and through some of our own fault, we gave some of the impression that we were doing this as a cost-cutting move, because 1 hour of the Jay Leno show was probably about 10% of the cost of 1 hour of a scripted television show. So, you know, it's obviously a much cheaper show to produce, and for an equivalent rating, we make a lot more money in advertising revenue. So everyone's thought that that was our entire reason for doing this. That was not our entire reason, although we are trying to run a business. So doing something like this where we can make a profit, God forbid we were going to do that, but it wasn't the motivating reason. Again, the motivating reason was counter-programming, keeping Jay Leno, trying something different so that we could focus our scripted programming from 8 to 10 and try and bolster that up. And one day when we have the problem of too many great scripted shows and not enough time periods, we'll start repopulating the 10 o'clock hour.
Sounds good.